farmer from Westmoreland County. Todd?
Hello, I am Todd Raymer. I own with my wife a beef cattle cow-calf operation right here in South Huntington Township. My concern today is with foreign entities buying up American farmland while young Americans can't afford to buy a farm or even get started. My American dream was to buy a farm and raise a family there. And I was fortunate to find a farm and purchase it 30 years ago while working a full-time job in addition to doing the farm. Finally, in 2010, I was able to quit my full-time off-the-farm job and devote all my time to the farm, something that is rarely achievable now. I know there are young farmers out there who really want to aspire to own their own farm and ranch, but they can't afford to do so with the high costs of the farm, the ranch, and the equipment to get started. We all hear the word sustainability. To stay sustainable, we need to give Americans a chance to own farms and ranches, so they can continue to produce the safest food supply in the world for generations to come. And perhaps a solution could be maybe to offer a retiring farmer or a rancher an incentive tax break if he sold his farm to a farmer or rancher, American farmer or rancher. Also, if I may, I understand that China now owns major meat processing plants. They hold the contracts on production barns, and they even own feed milling plants all in the United States. I believe that it is Americans should control their own destiny when it comes to food production and the future of it. It's a life of hard work and heartbreak, but I know there's some young farmers out there that can carry the load if we can give them the opportunity. I had an uncle who was a lifelong dairy farmer, and when I was a kid back in the 70s, he had a bumper sticker on his GMC Jimmy that read, "No farmers, no future." That was 40 plus years ago. Since then, technology and crop yields have changed for the better, but the message on that bumper sticker has not changed at all. No future, or no farmers, no future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Matt Carr is here. He's a third-generation farmer of dairy, corn, soybeans, and alfalfa from Westmoreland County. Please welcome Matt Carr.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity to be here. Like I said, like I was introduced, I am a third-generation farmer. I would consider myself the young farmer that Todd is talking about. And I am a small dairy farmer from Westmoreland County. We currently milk 250 head of Holstein cows twice a day. It is more than a job. It is a lifestyle, as you know. But I would like to talk now about what agriculture means to this country. Currently is 30% of the jobs and $7.43 trillion in economic impact to this country. Like you had said, you are pushing through to China for dairy products to be sold there. That is a huge market, and I would see that isn't a large area that we could expand into and continue to push to try to achieve those goals that you talked about. With that, in 1992, there was 130,000 dairy farms in the United States. That number is now down to 26,000. We are currently losing the small dairy farms, especially in Pennsylvania. Our dairy farm numbers are down 8% from 2022.
What is the difference in production? So you have far fewer farms. Well, what would you say is the difference in production?
Production is...
Similar?
In Pennsylvania, I think it's down a little bit.
It's down from those days?
Yeah, the farms are getting bigger. The number of cows are still very...
But the overall total production you think is down from what it was when they had so many farms?
Oh, no. Total production across the U.S. would be up.
Is up.
Yeah. But we are losing the small family farm like myself.
I know that, yes.
Dairy margin is, the margin that we have in order to make a living and a profit is extremely tight. Our input costs are up. So is there a way for America to, we talked about manufacturing, can we manufacture our own and not rely so much on foreign inputs for that in order to address what we need in order to survive into the future?
Thank you, Matt. Great job. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Nick Stafiri is a hay, beef, and pork farmer from Fayette County. At this time, I'd like to introduce Nick Stafiri.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me. And thanks for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Nick Stafiri, as they said. I'm from Lower Tyrone Township, Fayette County. My family owns a small 120-acre farm where we specialize in freezer beef and hay. My story's a little bit different than everybody around the table. I didn't grow up with a farm. I married the farmer's daughter, so I kind of got that on the backside.
Very smart.
My mother-in-law was a full-time farmer in our operation. My father-in-law, myself, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my wife, everybody else had a job off the farm. From 1954 to 2015, we milked 50 cows a day, twice a day, no hired help. It was all on now. My mother-in-law decided to stop milking in 2015 and transition to freezer beef and hay. I'm going to be a little bit different on my story here because my wife and I are both energy workers. So with the energy transition in Pennsylvania, our focus and our ability to have take our financial resources and put those back into the farm has been tremendous. Without that energy job, we wouldn't have been able to better our farm and better our situation. Without my industry and my work family, the opportunities afforded to me, especially like this today, wouldn't be possible. And as you sit here today, you're sitting on top of the Marcellus and the Utica shales. Right. The most prolific shale plays in the world are underneath your feet. My family depends on my salary and my wife's salary, and those salaries are dependent on pro-American, pro-energy policy. With this pro-energy policy would allow operators to develop abundant clean natural gas from below our feet. Appalachia produces roughly 30 billion cubic feet of gas per day. We could double the amount if we were just given the opportunity. Common sense policies allow for infrastructure to be built here. Pipelines. We need more pipelines. Doubling our output would be the equivalent of putting 10 million barrels of energy on the market for the world stage.
Yeah.
Providing opportunities for families to remain farming. Because guess what? We pay those royalties. We pay billions of royalties a year to landowners, just like everybody that's around here at this table.
Right.
And, you know, due to the ups and downs, I want to tell you a little bit of a personal story of mine. Due to the ups and downs of the commodity-based business, 4 years ago, I was faced with an ultimatum. And that ultimatum was, do I chase my corporate job, or do I stay here and work on a family farm? My wife and I, we made the decision not to move to Texas. We made the decision that it was family first, that it was legacy over money. So our conscious decision to raise our two beautiful daughters as fourth generation on our farm is the best decision we made in our relatively young lives. There has been no greater honor than to represent my family, my industry, and the pivotal role we play together. The intersection between agriculture and industry, it's a tight-knit one. We need the farmers just like they want us to provide the energy. And responsible natural gas development should not be a partisan issue. It's a common sense issue. So I want to thank you again for allowing me to speak with you today. It's been an honor, and I really appreciate it.
So thank you very much, Nick. That's great. So without your job, which is a good job, an energy job, but if you don't put Trump in, you're not going to have any energy jobs in here. They're not going to let you frack. They're not going to let you frack. You know that. She's never said frack in her life until just a short while ago when she realized her poll numbers were dying in Pennsylvania. They're not going to let you or anybody else frack. And so I just want you to be aware of that when you go and cast your vote. I'm not too worried about the people around this table, I must be honest, but you never know. But everybody's aware of it, and I think Pennsylvania's aware of it based on polling that we're getting. You can't let them do it because I didn't realize you were so dependent. Even a farmer would have to be dependent on the energy, but you take that energy out, you take that income out, it's a whole different story for Pennsylvania.
Completely.
And we're not going to let that happen. We've got to win the election. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mana Papafavare, the CEO of General Carbide.
Thank you so much. So again, my name is Mana Papafavare. I'm the president and CEO of General Carbide Corporation. We are a 56-year-old manufacturer of carbide and steel tooling components and assemblies for lots of industries that include oil and gas, ammunition tooling, and agriculture, to just name a few. We are a fully integrated supplier, so we start with our own graded powders all the way to making our finished tools, which we've transformed over a period of years.
Great.
This company was started by my father, Primo J. Papafava, when I was just 5 years old. He was the son of Italian immigrant parents. He enlisted in the Air Force to be a navigator, graduated from Carnegie Tech, now Carnegie Mellon University, with a degree in chemical engineering, and then went to work for a variety of businesses, ending up in a carbide company. He worked his way up, and eventually he started his own business. When he started the business, I was just 5 years old. So I'm very proud of our history. My mother and father taught us a lot, and I lost my father now 22 years ago, and my mother is now 5 years gone. But they taught me about hard work, integrity, and responsibility, as well as respect, charity, and compassion. I'm not as hardworking as any one of these farmers here, I can tell you that, but I do work hard. When my father passed away back in 2002, I was left with the responsibility of carrying on our business and taking care of 250 people that work for us in Westmoreland County. But by the time that COVID arrived, we had grown to 350 people with 3 different businesses in 4 states, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Michigan, and Hawaii. And even though we were deemed an essential business or a sustainable business by 3 of the states, still General Carbide lost 60% of its business in a very short period of time. Unlike a lot of other companies that kind of rolled into the corner and waited it out, that is simply not our style. In fact, one of our core values is growth. And so we went to our sales team, we told them to look for opportunities, even in light of a very difficult time that we were having. And so one of our market segment managers, his name is Eric Butts, he is also a farmer. So he owns his own farm and he is working for us as a sales manager. He started to look for components in the farming industry made out of carbide, and he found that it was quite a large industry. But the overwhelming amount of these tools are sourced here by China. But he thought maybe we would have an opportunity by employing kind of American ingenuity and doing some things on our own. So we started to move into the industry. We've been working hard for 4 years on our different agricultural parts with some success, but not as much as we would have hoped due to the cost structure and this competitive landscape with China. As an example, we worked with a potential customer for prototypes for components that go on high-speed planting machines. We made the prototypes, we put them into the field and tested them, and they tested perfectly. But then the customer came back to us and said that even though our cost structure was in line with the domestic producer, we couldn't come close to the prices that they were getting from China, and so they would continue to purchase offshore.
That's why you need tariffs.
This is a loss of $500,000 for just that one part, and there are so many different kinds of parts that we have out there.
For sure.
We're currently working on components for several aspects of agricultural market, including ground prep, seeding, and harvesting, and we've had some success. We're using better grades of carbide. That also costs more. We have instituted robotics and other innovative processes. We have 24/7 customer service and communication with our customers, and we're now a one-stop shop, but we still cannot compete against Chinese government-subsidized businesses. Additionally, the purchasing agents are not incentivized to buy on a value proposition. They're incentivized to buy the cheapest parts out there, and those parts are coming from China. So I believe we really need to do three things. One, I think we need to incentivize our machine manufacturers and our farmers to purchase American machines with American-made components. Secondly, I think we need a stronger stance on China. You said it, that it should cost more to purchase components from China, not just more to purchase the materials, which is what we're up against now. And thirdly, we need to do a better job incentivizing those in purchasing to think about the value proposition, longer running machines in the field. That's really what we need to think about. So to end, I believe in the strength of this nation, Mr. President, but I also believe that you and only you are going to be able to bring back our independence
Amen.
and prosperity. And the last thing that I want to say is...
I agree. That's why you need tariffs. This is a perfect example. They undercut you, drive you out of business, and then they're going to put the price at double and triple. It's no different. It's been that way for hundreds of years. That's what they did with oil. Rockefeller would open up a station on every corner, and you'd have a gas station, then he'd open up 3, and it cut the price so low, and everybody thought, oh, wow, what a great bargain. He'd put the one guy out of business, and then he'd raise the prices to triple, quadruple what it was. That's the old way, and it's no different with China or anybody else. That's why you need tariffs. We level it off, and now people are starting to understand it. Actually, I was watching Howard Lutnick and John Paulson, 2 of the great geniuses of Wall Street, actually 2 of the most successful people on Wall Street, and they're big on tariffs. They're saying Trump was right all along, and I did it. But that's exactly why. They put you right out of business, and then they'll sell the same product, but they'll be double the price of what you are and make a fortune. That's what they want to do, yes. Among other things. Can you tell the story of your daughter?
Yes, I'm sorry. The last thing I wanted to say is my hardest job is not running 3 businesses. It's actually being a mom to a daughter that's here with me today, Caroline Ray. She's 16 years old. I'm right there. Would you just raise your hand, honey, so that Mr. President can see you? She's right there. She's not in school today, and she asked that she could be here and she could see you. I'm doing everything that I can to try to give her the truth every day. And I just wanted to say, and I told you that 8 years ago when you were running, and she was just 8 years old then, every night she would go to bed and I would kneel on the floor next to her bed and we would pray every single night for you. And every night she would speak out to God and she would say, dear God, please let Mr. Trump win, please. And the night of the election, of course, she had to go to bed early because she was in school. But at 2 o'clock in the morning when we finally knew that you had won, I went into her bedroom. I scooped her up out of her sound sleep and I was literally tears pouring down. And I said, baby, Mr. Trump won, baby, he won, he won. And she said, thank you, God, thank you, God. And so she is here with us today. And I just want to let you know that we are still praying for you.
Thank you very much. Well, it's almost more important today. When you add the border where we have millions of people coming in and from prisons and from mental institutions and terrorists and traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers, I believe it's more important today. We had a bad border then, and I fixed it, totally fixed it. In fact, it wasn't even a subject at the next election, but we totally fixed it. And but that border was nothing compared to what's happened now. This border is so bad and so dangerous for our country. I think it's more important today. I think it's going to be the most important election in the history of our country. Thank you very much, and thank you, beautiful daughter. Thank you very much. Very nice story. Thank you.
Beth Lieber is a small business owner, former dairy farmer, and current beef and crops farmer from Westmoreland County. I'd like to introduce Beth Lieber.
Mr. President, government and elected officials, and honored guests, thank you for coming to Western PA again today to hear our concerns and address solutions. My name is Beth Lieber, and to play opposite of Nick, I married the farmer's son, who is here today with my 2 sons, Levi and Owen. I'm a Christian, a wife, a mother of 3, and a small business owner in that particular order. I, with my husband Brian, own and operate a direct-to-consumer on-the-farm market featuring beef that has been raised on the family farm in Donegal, PA. We procure lamb, chicken, and pork from other small farms in Pennsylvania like ours, and all the animals are harvested through local processors to our specifications. Since opening in 2017, our goal has been to provide our customers with consistently high-quality products while also supporting other small businesses and our community. In May of 2020, we expanded our store and offerings due to the needs of consumers during COVID and to offer other businesses another avenue to sell their goods. We now offer several agricultural and specialty items, all produced in or near the Laurel Highlands area. My husband is also a full-time owner-operator of transport in the dry bulk industry, and I also work part-time for a Christian school as the food service director. I share our occupations as an introduction to explain the challenges, due in large part to the inflation that we have seen, that we have witnessed and experienced both as a producer and a retailer, and also a consumer. As a truck driver, my husband normally fills his truck 2 to 3 times a week with diesel. In January of 21, just after Biden revoked the Keystone Pipeline, one of our fuel receipts totaled $592 for 200 gallons of fuel. That was $2.99 a gallon. In May of 22, a year after our energy independence moved overseas, one of our fuel receipts totaled $996 for 166 gallons of fuel. That was $5.99 a gallon. That $3 per gallon more means upwards of $800 to $1,200 a week in fuel expense, unless to meet our business and family's needs. This net zero approach has also increased farm costs exponentially, which I know comes as no surprise to anyone here today. Fertilizer is up 30 to 60% in 2024, not to mention the increase in seed costs, the fuel, the parts and supplies, and man hours for planting. Electric has doubled from around $400 a month in 21 to $800 a month this year, just to run some equipment and the lights that doesn't include heat. In 2023, feeder calf prices reached an all-time high, coupled with the increase in other commodities and prices to farmers not keeping up. This equals very small profit margins, and therefore, we have been purchasing a fraction of the feeder cattle that we have the capacity to feed. Our farm currently feeds out approximately 70 to 100 head of cattle, and that is reduced from 180 to 200 head just 2 to 4 years ago. but we have capacity to feed upwards of 400 to 500. Actually, we are currently feeding only enough to satisfy our direct-to-consumer base, as it remains somewhat constant. The seasonal tourism of camping and skiing in the Laurel Highlands contributes to our sales, and we are located in the heart of the Laurel Highlands. I handle all of the customer relations for our on-the-farm market, and our customers often share their concerns with me. These are some of the things I hear most often. I really don't eat a lot of beef anymore. It costs too much. I can't afford to purchase a whole animal this year. What smaller packages do you offer? We are visiting from out of town. We don't have any places like this where we are from. And recently, the thing I've heard the most is I used to purchase bulk beef from a farmer nearby, a friend, a relative, but they don't have cattle anymore. Just last week, a local dairy in operation for over 65 years announced the closure of their bottling operations due to rising costs of supplies and down demand. Other farms in the area have declared bankruptcy or sold off property and downsized. I can't even get started on the detrimental effects that the weather has had on the vegetation in our region this year. From hailstorms to droughts, our corn and soybeans were among the victims. Nevertheless, farmers are no strangers to the risk and the gamble that they take every single day in order to do what they know and love, and that is to farm their land. And as always, this too shall pass, hopefully soon. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, "For I know the plans I have for